think probably the hardest thing about it would be the first step and walking through the door, because that's the most daunting. When you're going into the unknown and it's a little bit out of your comfort zone and you don't know what's the other side of the door, it's a scary place and a scary space. But once you walk through the door, I'm 23 years deep in this gym. I find it hard to leave. Everybody thinks boxing is an individual sport and it's all about you, but when you come to a gym, you realise there's a whole set of people who's on your team. They're part of your team to make you better, and they're the ones that drag you through the sessions when it's hard. They're the ones that are pulling you along in the runs when you're getting tired, and they're the ones all screaming for you in the fight when it's getting to the last round and it's a close fight, and they give you the extra energy. So I think finding where you belong in the gym is the easy part.
The girls have this opportunity to be boxing and doing pad work with two of the most decorated female boxers, Sav and Tasha, and I think this in itself is a really great opportunity for them to be so close up with a champion and a role model that they can look up to. We're hosting this in Liverpool mostly because we recently onboarded Tasha as our new ambassador for Boxing is Love, and it would be nice to have Tasha deliver this workshop with the girls in this area. A lot of the times girls tell me that they stop boxing because of the things that people would say to them, especially their male peers, telling them that they are not aggressive enough, telling them they're not suited for the sport and that they will never be on par with their male counterparts. And a lot of the reason is because they don't have enough encouragement from the whole community around them. So I think that it's really important to set up a space where there's only girls and women that would uplift each other this way. I think the challenges are actually not as big in the UK, because I think that usually in the UK there's always going to be a small portion of girls who are doing the sport, and there wouldn't be a problem of getting young girls who box in a room like this, whereas in other countries that we work in, like Ghana, I've just spoken to a girl that I've worked with, and she used to box, and she's the daughter of the national team coach as well, and she said she stopped boxing because of what her peers have been saying to her. And I think in those environments, and it's completely different, because there's just no one that they can turn to when they want to continue in the sport, whereas I think UK has a really healthy environment for them to continue the sport and to come together as a whole.
It doesn't matter if you're a girl, a boy, a man or woman. I think trying something new is quite daunting anyway. So, and especially being a young girl, you know, there's hormones, there's social issues and things like that. So I think it's just starting something new anyway is difficult and hard. The reason why we work with girls under the social umbrella we're cared for is because these girls are vulnerable. My mum's a foster carer and an emergency placement foster carer, so there was always girls coming and going constantly, and boys, but predominantly girls. And I remember thinking, a lot of the girls, I would think, do you know, if you could just get into some sort of sport, or not even sport, drama, dance, art, just something that you could focus on, your life would be so different. And that where it was where for me, where I thought, you know what, there's vulnerable girls out there, if they just knew how to defend themselves, would they be in a position that they're in, or on the road that they could end up going down?
This particular event is to raise awareness on women's boxing. One of the things that you've heard from Sarah is that how narratives are constructed and how media portrays women in sport matters a lot in terms of how they are perceived, and the opportunities that they get both economically, both in the sport, and also how the education system treats women's boxing and women in sports in general. So to bring Sav and Tasha, two of the most decorated athletes in the country together, we just hope to send this message out there that women's boxing is absolutely something that we must take seriously, and women's sports in general. One of the most important things about Boxing is Love is that we want to help young people reconnect with education, and through that process we looked at a lot of research in terms of disengagement from school, and one of the most important factors that actually influences disengagement from school is the pursuit of physical activities as an extracurricular, whether that's the lack of access or whether that's simply just not encouraged culturally speaking. And one of the most important findings by Women in Sport, the UK charity, is indeed that women are affected disproportionately by this lack of physical activity, and so that's what inspired us to work on this event.
What I've seen in boxing gyms is that it gives people a sense of purpose and it gives people a sense of belonging, and that is, helpful in all aspects of life. So I think, as Savannah and Tasha were saying today, whether you're going for a job interview or whether you're, building up to a difficult conversation, that kind of day in, day out training is going to prove to you that not only can you achieve something, but you've got people behind you that are going to support you win, lose or draw in any life circumstance. I think girls, for the most part, have multiple things to worry about. So when I see their involvement in sport, it's never just straightforward, it's never just performance orientated, it's always multiple competing factors. And I also think that we understand less about female bodies than we do male bodies. So a big barrier to entry for a lot of women in sport is their menstrual cycle. And oftentimes you'll see young girls really excel in sport until they hit adolescence, and then all of a sudden they drop off. I've also heard a lot of male coaches as well say that young girls get interested in boys when they hit adolescence, and so they don't necessarily get taken seriously because they think that they are in the gym for other reasons, which is completely untrue. I think what surprised me the most is the level of care involved in the sport. So the amount of time and energy that people give to the sport and the investment in each other. Sport is often seen as extremely competitive and people are being pitted against one another, but a sport like boxing can't succeed unless people come together in communities, and I think that's what we see in boxing gyms. The lack of opportunity is just again and again for young women and girls. I don't know many schools in Wales, let alone in the UK, that offer young girls boxing beyond maybe like a self-defence class. So still now, I think in sport, in school, young girls are often offered hockey or netball, lucky to be offered football, again lucky to be offered maybe rugby, never offered boxing. So unless you have a mum, a dad, a brother, a friend who's willing to take you to the boxing gym, you're unlikely to access it as a sport. I think that it is imagination. So regardless of the barriers, that it's achievable. So each one of the women from history have shown us that regardless of everything that was stood in their way, their determination and their self-belief got them to a point where they were told they couldn't. And Muhammad Ali often kind of said that the impossible is nothing, it's not a thing. And I think if you have that self-belief, which oftentimes women and girls struggle to find, because of societal pressures, anything is possible. So look at Katie Taylor, what she's achieved. It's important to have those high-level role models, but also the people like Jane Couch who were fighting battles in court in 1998. That, for me, is what's important to take away.
I think I would have loved at 14 to understand my power. I had so many good things to say and so many great ideas, but I wasn't confident enough to know that people wanted to listen. And I think what I do now with the platform that I've got is try and be that person that 14-year-old girl needed to see and say what she needed to hear, be in the spaces that she needed to be, and encourage kids to be the best version of themselves. And there's a whole big wide world that they should just discover. And that's not just in boxing, that's just in life in general. Believe in yourself at all times, at all costs, even when nobody else does. If you can hold on to your dream, don't let any adult tell you that it's too big, it's unreachable, it's not possible. As long as you believe in it and work hard to achieve it, anything's possible.